and this is Barn on 11970. Thank you for checking out this quick little video. I am obviously, as you can see here, showing the gold, silver, and precious metals report for the day of February 8th, 2016. That's a Monday, and as you can see, gold is up $24.50. We see silver up at 45, so it's breached the $15 mark at this point. Platinum has a nice gain of $20 and palladium at 19, so it's looking like the metals are rising. I actually find it funny in a way because for about a year, I pretty much stopped making my regular videos. I would do one sporadically, but I haven't talked about gold and silver for over a year and a half. And it's been pretty much going down since I stopped talking. And then, if you notice, a couple of days ago, I made a video saying I was getting back into precious metals again. And funny enough, all of a sudden the prices are rising again. Now, is this temporary? Who knows? Am I trying to say that I influence the market? Yeah, sure, why not? Of course not. But sometimes it's all about timing and trusting your instincts. And for the past year and a half, I mean, it was just being stagnant. But I never changed my ideals. I mean, I still have all the gold and silver that I have. As a matter of fact, I might do a video showing just some of it in a future video. But my thing is, I've always maintained that gold and silver, in my opinion, and that's all it is my opinion. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but in my opinion, gold and silver will protect yourself in the future in case there are problems with the currencies that we have. And if you look at the national debt, and I'm going to show you right now. Okay, I just want you to focus on this one little section of it. This is the usdebtclock.org if you're interested in checking this. As you can see, only a couple of days ago it was at 19 trillion and 7 billion. So in the past couple of days, we've reached over $3 more billion of national debt. Now, if you look towards the middle of the screen in the gray area, the net interest on that debt, look at that. Just the interest alone is $233 billion, or $233.5 billion. Think about that. Now I'm going to elongate this a little bit. Look at the bottom part of the screen where the red is. Of the $233 billion in debt, we have paid, which that doesn't make sense, 2 trillion. Net interest on debt, total interest paid. Oh, I guess that means up to date, not just at this particular time. The 233 is the current interest, and this is what we've paid so far. So that's why it makes sense. Now, look at right to the right of that, the U.S. total debt. Now, most people look at the top left-hand corner where it says the U.S. national debt is $19 trillion. Now, look right here on the bottom. The U.S. total debt up 153%, $64 trillion. And these are their doctored numbers, because if you believe these are exactly correct, you'll believe anything the media tells you. But this is their doctored numbers. So we have $233 billion in net interest. We've paid $2 trillion so far. The debt is continually rising, where the national debt is $19 trillion, and the total debt, including everything, is $64 trillion. Look at this. Total debt per citizen, $200,724. Total debt per family, $794,217. Now let's scroll over, and I'll have to elongate this. Look on the bottom right hand of your screen. Median income. The average income is $29,000. You think we're ever paying for this? Now, pretty much, I know the fact that this whole system is just a lie. It's a show. They're basically trying to extract as much money of the people as they can. They're all buying tangible assets. That's why even countries like China, and you could look this up, China is making cities. I mean, like cities the size of Los Angeles, the cities the size of Chicago, Manhattan, that are completely empty. Now, most people would sit there and say, well, why would they do that? They have billions of people in their employment building nonstop cities that are empty, that no one's living in. Now, the average person would say, well, why? Well, because what they're doing is they're taking the currency while it still retains its purchasing power, and converting it into tangible assets, which is very smart if you think about it. Because if they have an inkling that the US dollar will someday become less than what it's worth, well, if they've already spent it and bought other things with it, well, they don't have to worry about that as far as the currency. It could completely collapse and it wouldn't matter because now they have dozens of empty cities just waiting for people to come in and create their revenue from whatever new currency that goes out in the world. And that's why you see very wealthy people buying up land, buying up art, buying up gold and silver. They're buying physical, tangible assets. Now, do you think that's out of fear? I'm sure some people are. You should never do anything based on fear. But that doesn't mean if you're preparing for anything, it doesn't mean you're scared. I mean, people put life rafts on a boat, not because they say, oh my God, the boat's going to sink, but it's there just in case if there ever was an accident. Because you can have a boat go on its trip 100,000 times. It only takes the one time of not being prepared that way you're in trouble. And that's the one thing I've tried to teach people about my opinion about physical gold and silver. It doesn't matter that we've gone how many decades or centuries in this country without a major collapse. I mean, we've had the Great Depression, so it hasn't been that long ago. But yes, yesterday there wasn't a collapse. A year ago there wasn't a collapse. 10 years ago there wasn't a collapse. Tomorrow there may not be a collapse. But if 5 years from now everything comes tumbling down and all of your dollars in your bank account are frozen or worthless, then what do you do then? If it never happens, well, then you can turn around and sell your gold and silver or your cars or your property or whatever tangible assets you get. They're counting on the people to pay, to give them money, buying their paper garbage. If you want to trust that because yesterday it was fine and today it's fine, that's like playing Russian roulette. If you have a gun with only one chamber that has a bullet in it, you could pull that trigger several times and not get your head blown off. But it only takes the one time to end the game. And that's where some of the people that want to try and hate what I say just don't seem to understand. It doesn't matter what has happened. What matters is what could happen. And that's not paranoia. That's not fear. That's smart people planning for any situation before it arises. Because as you will see with any tragedy, and it could be something as simple as a snowstorm that blocks people out for a week, there are people who die because they didn't prepare and didn't think they needed to. So the people that think this stuff is silly, I would wonder how many of them actually are storing and they just don't admit it. And they just like to hate because it's easier, or maybe it's their way of earning an extra income. So what you do is thoroughly and totally up to you. I'm not here to go to anyone's house and put a gun to their head and say, this is what you must do. I explain what I'm doing because there are obviously people who care. And of course, I was going to say this was going to be a short video, but we all know I love to ramble, so that wasn't going to be the case. But I mean, look at the chart. The national debt is now 19 trillion, $10 billion. If you watch my video just like 3 short days ago, it was just turning into 19 trillion and 7 billion. So we've increased it in a couple of days by $3 billion. The interest per citizen is way beyond any capacity to pay back. And at what level do you think this will go? Do you think it'll go to 100 trillion? 900 trillion? A quadrillion? Just imagine what the interest will be then. What the debt per family will be. You think they're going to pay that back? No. But it's a good distraction to get you to pay attention to the irrelevant things, like football, the Super Bowl. Because while that was on, I was glimpsing it from time to time just to see if there was going to be any kind of live situation that happened. But I was checking the gold and silver, I was checking the national debt, and I was looking for any relevant news to pay attention to see what they were doing behind the scenes. But the people will easily be distracted. They've done that throughout history. The idea is not to be one of those people, because if something happens, and like I've said in so many videos, there is never going to be the end of the world scenario. That's a fear thing, and if you want to believe that because it makes you feel better, by all means, please do. I'm not going to tell you to change your belief system. I'm sharing my opinion. My opinion says there is not going to be any end of the world scenario. But if your money is worthless, or you can't get to it because the power outage doesn't let you take your money out of the bank, and there's a snowstorm where you can't buy food and water, or a power outage, it could be the end of the world for you. So some people will take that as fear. Some people will say it's like a crystal ball. Like I've said, if you blow into a balloon, you will never be able to predict the exact moment it will pop. But if you continue to blow air in it, you can be guaranteed that it will pop. You just don't know when. So it's the same thing with what you see right here. This will pop. We just don't know when, because as you can see, they're continuing to blow air into it, and it cannot last forever. I am going to continue to look into the gold and silver. You guys do, and girls do, what you feel is best. But please share this, please look into it, and don't let the few minor trolls who thumb down the videos or say nasty comments dictate what you choose to do. Because in the end, they don't put food on your table, they don't tuck you in at night, and they don't care about you. Worry about the ones who do. Thanks for watching, guys.